everybody, welcome back. This is some wild relationship drama that made it to Am I the A-hole? Would I be the a-hole for dumping my girlfriend after she ignored my calls and messages and went clubbing while I was undergoing emergency surgery? All rise for the Honorable Judge Charlotte, whom I I, 22 male, and my girlfriend, 22 female, have been together for 5 years. I already don't like the sound of this. We've been together since high school, and until recently, I've always considered her to be my future wife. I even bought a ring and was planning on proposing over the coming months. Ooh. Well, last weekend, it was my girlfriend's best friend's birthday. She and her friends booked a private lounge at a club. Obviously, I didn't go since 1, I wasn't invited, and 2, I hate clubbing or anything associated with that. I was actually looking forward to spending an evening alone and just binging Netflix or something. Well, my girlfriend left at around 9 p.m. and I just crashed on the couch and watched some YouTube. I hope you watched some Charlotte Dobre. No? Okay. Well, around 11 p.m., I started to feel this distinct stomach pain. The same pain you experience when someone hits you in the nuts. Can't say I've ever experienced that, but I will take your word for it that it's very painful. The pain just kept getting worse until I was basically stuck in the fetal position on the couch. Again, initially, I thought the pain would go, but then I pulled down my pants, and it felt like my right hammocker was starting to swell. The moment I tried to get up and grab my phone to inspect whatever the was happening to me, I just collapsed to the floor. That was probably the worst pain I've ever felt in my life. Imagine being pelted in the nuts over and over again. I did manage to crawl to the table next to the couch and get my phone. I immediately called trying my girlfriend, but she declined my call. I then texted her that something was wrong and she should come home immediately. I just put my phone down and started throwing up because of the pain. After throwing up for like a minute, it felt like the pain started to cool down and I grabbed my phone again, and that's when I saw her response. She just replied with a, "What is it?" annoyed emoji. Oh my goodness. Okay. Ooh, I really don't like where this is going. Like, I'm not gonna lie. Anyways, I'm gonna reserve judgment until I hear the rest of it, but like right now I'm just like, I tried calling her again, but as expected, she declined again. What part of something is wrong, you need to come home, do you not understand?
I will get home when I get home!
Maybe she didn't understand like how serious the situation was. I then texted her that I need to go to the hospital. Okay, now she does. She then asked for what, and I just replied with my balls hurt. Then I dialed for emergency services. I explained my situation to the emergency responder, and she asked if there was somebody that could drive me to the hospital, and I stupidly said yes. Ooh, I thought my girlfriend would be home soon and she would drive me to the hospital.
Well, you thought wrong.
That to me doesn't sound like it's like you need immediate help, but you did say that you need to go to the hospital. I felt embarrassed to call an ambulance because my balls hurt. After I told the emergency responder this, she even told me she would call me again in 10 minutes to make sure I was being driven to the hospital. I then put my phone down and went back to vomiting on our carpet. After the pain went away for a bit, I checked my phone and saw my girlfriend just responded with laughing emojis. Maybe she thought you were joking? I literally don't understand. I don't think she's being like malicious right now, but then again, like, you did tell her that you need to go to the hospital. I tried again to call her, but as expected, she declined again. She texted me that this wasn't time to play games, and she told me that if I texted or called her again, she would block my number. Ooh. I again tried calling her, but she declined again, and when I tried calling her a second time, she actually blocked me. Buddy, she blocked you? Okay, no. Like, it's one thing to think that somebody is joking. It's another to like block their number. You must have felt so helpless in this moment. My goodness. I went back to curling up on the floor and now I started shivering. Ooh. At this point, I didn't care about being embarrassed and just called emergency services and asked for an ambulance. It felt like an eternity, but the ambulance eventually came and rushed me to the hospital. I don't remember much of surgery since I was sedated, but I remember waking up eventually and my right hammocker was being stitched together. Oh, brother. Ooh. The doctor informed me I had a testicular torsion, and I was extremely lucky to reach the hospital in time. Oh, bestie. I could have easily been forced to surgically remove my hammerker. I checked my phone and saw the missed calls and messages my girlfriend left me. In summary, she came home from clubbing and smelled the vomit in our apartment. When she saw the vomit on our carpet, she got mad and tried searching the apartment to find me. When she realized I wasn't there, only then did it hit her that I was actually being serious. I just texted her which hospital I was staying in and my room number and then went to sleep. I woke up the next morning and saw my girlfriend sleeping on a couch next to my bed. Okay, yeah, this is a really big miscommunication. But then again, if you can't rely on your significant other to take you seriously when you're saying that you're going to the hospital, who can you rely on?
Saul Goodman.
After she woke up, she started bombarding me with apologies. Okay, she thought I was joking and that I was trying to ruin their night, etc. I didn't have the energy to argue, I just kept quiet. I was beyond hurt by what she did and I wanted to break up with her then and there. The thing is, if she just answered the phone, I feel like you could have been a little bit more specific. But then again, you were also like in pain, so like, I don't know, man, this is just seems like a really huge miscommunication, but also she should have taken you a little more seriously in that moment. Why the f would someone ignore messages when their partner is begging them to come home? Not only that, she stayed in the club until 3 a.m. and didn't consider going home to check on me. She did stay with me in the hospital for the remaining 2 days. I was admitted there and did take good care of me, but I was beyond pissed at her. Ever since coming home yesterday, I've been wanting to dump her, but at the same time, I feel like she genuinely thought I was joking and made a mistake. I feel conflicted and I don't know how to proceed in this situation. Would I be the a-hole if I dumped her? Am I overreacting? Oh goodness, this is a massive miscommunication, but like, if you haven't cried wolf, so to speak, if you haven't like been kind of like controlling when she goes out to the club, like you said that you don't like going clubbing. So that's why in the back of my head, it's like, okay, have you done this before? Have you tried to get her to come home? Have you guilt tripped her, etc.? But if you haven't done that, then I don't understand why she's annoyed and she wouldn't take that seriously, especially with the, I need to go to the hospital. Not only that, also in the comments, you called her like repeatedly, you know what I mean? Like if it's one text, that's one thing, but you called her over and over and over again. Let's say your phone's on do not disturb. If you get like 3 missed calls, even your iPhone knows it might be a good idea to notify that person that there's an emergency. So if your iPhone knows that, it's not even human. How do you not know that, Missy? Not the a-hole, not walking a total 10 minutes to check on your significant other after your text is nuts, unless you've cried wolf before. That's true. Like, there could have been something in her head that's like, oh, he's probably kidding, but maybe I'll just go check on him. If it's a 5-minute walk, you can be there and back in like a few minutes. And I understand it was her best friend's birthday, but at the same time, like, what if you were wrong? Better to be safe than sorry. I don't like that she didn't take you seriously. Is this breakup worthy? I don't think she did it with malicious intent. She was there with you in the hospital when she found out that it was a serious thing. I genuinely don't know. But thank goodness for us, we have an update. First of all, I would like to clear up some misconceptions brewing in the comment section of my last post. No, I've never pulled any malicious pranks on my girlfriend to get her to come home early from a night out or anything. Neither do I have an issue with her going out as long as she doesn't come home at like 6 a.m. And no, I've never blown up her phone like that while she was out with her friends. We usually go out together since we share the same friend groups. Here are mine and her messages from WhatsApp in order since people thought I just texted her my balls hurt or something. Okay, this is super helpful. This is super helpful. All right, I appreciate the context. Me, decline my first 2 calls. Her name, please come home, something is wrong. Her, question mark, question mark, question mark, can't talk right now, what is it? Annoyed emoji. Me, tried calling her again, I need to go to the hospital. Question mark, question mark, question mark, question mark. What? Again, tried calling her twice. My balls hurt, please come home now, something is wrong. Her, crying laughing emojis, rolling on the floor. Trying her again twice after calling emergency services. Her, I swear, don't bother me again or I'm blocking you. Let me enjoy my night out. Me, tried calling her again twice and got blocked. The block, ooh, I hate that. At this point, the pain was too bad to try anything with her anymore and I just called an ambulance. Her next message after unblocking me at 2 a.m. My name, why the is there vomit in the living room and where the are you? Why is the front door unlocked even if you left somewhere? She then went into a full mental breakdown as she realized I was being serious about going to the hospital over 70 messages. Yes, it was stupid of me to expect her to drive to the hospital since she was drinking, but again, in that type of pain, you don't think clearly. I'll allow it, okay? I think I needed her more for moral support and I did it out of pure instinct. Yeah, that's crazy that you called her in a moment where you really, really needed her. Like before you even called the ambulance, you called your girlfriend. I would feel rejected and you were thinking about being with this person forever in sickness and in health. You know, let's all be clear on this. 2 missed calls is kind of like, okay, it's not that serious. No messages, nothing. But if you get 3 missed calls from someone in the middle of the night or 3 missed calls at any time, I think it's safe to say that there's something wrong and you should take that seriously. Or maybe you have like a stalker girlfriend or boyfriend or something like that, in which case like this doesn't really apply. But obviously you catch my drift. Not immediately calling an ambulance was also stupid of me. I was in a lot of pain, but stupidly at the time, I thought whatever I was going through would eventually calm down and driving to the hospital would be better than calling an ambulance. Also, in hindsight, me being embarrassed about calling an ambulance over my balls was definitely also really stupid. I do think though that this is like the mentality of a lot of people. Like, I think that we are reluctant to like take our health issues seriously. I think that if you have any doubts and you're like just even the slightest bit concerned, obviously I live in Canada, so I can go to the hospital, but like,
you're pointing fingers. No.
Better to be safe than sorry. The amount of mental gymnastics some of you did in my comments to paint me as some sort of dweeb or emotionally needy person for bothering my girlfriend was truly mind-blowing to me. Okay, no, I don't think you're emotionally needy. I just think that honestly, this might be a dumpable offense. I feel like I agree with you. I think not taking you seriously in that moment, even if it was a miscommunication, would really, really hurt. Now for the update. I'm doing much better now. Well, I'm glad to hear it, my dear. Not being able to go to work for the next 3 weeks is definitely a bummer. I work for my dad's construction company and my job requires lifting a lot of heavy weights. I'm also prohibited from having giggity for the next 2-3 weeks as well. I might have also developed some trauma due to the pain. I randomly get the same sensation again and it's driving me nuts. I'm glad we can joke about it. I'm glad that we're at a stage where we can joke. Yay. As for me and my girlfriend, it's complicated. As so many of you and my mom told me, 5 years is definitely a long time to be just throwing away without having a proper conversation with her. So I did just that. I told her how hurt I felt by everything. I mentioned the following points. Her ignoring my messages and declining my calls. Yes, clubs are loud, but where I'm from, there are smoking areas where you can have a conversation over the phone. Blocking me after I tried calling her. Ooh, it's the blocking for me. 3, not checking on me once, even though the club she went to was a 5-minute walk away from our apartment. 4, her being angry about the vomit instead of being concerned. After hearing that, she got defensive and told me I could have conveyed my situation better, and she genuinely thought I was joking. She was drunk and wasn't thinking clearly. She also told me that it couldn't have been that painful and I was over exaggerating. Okay, no, like, bro, they cut up your balls and they cut up your balls, dude. This for me, okay, she's minimizing your pain again. You went to the hospital. You're not allowed to do anything for like 3 weeks. And that now that you've had a conversation and the miscommunication has been somewhat resolved, so to speak, she's still minimizing your experience. I then told her, yes, I could have phrased my messages better and I apologize for that, but then I described the pain I was in and I told her I barely had the strength to text her, let alone send a detailed description of what was happening to me, and definitely couldn't think straight throughout everything. After hearing what I said, she started crying and apologizing for what she did. She told me if she knew how serious it was, we wouldn't have been having this conversation. She then apologized for her being mad over the vomit. According to her, she was drunk and tired and was expressing frustration. I then asked her why she thought I was joking and if she was cheating on me because this was seriously out of character for her. Oh, that's an interesting take. Ooh. Hence why I immediately trusted her with this. She started crying and she looked like I just her in the face. She told me that she just thought I was being insecure about her being in a club with a bunch of guys. Like, were they at the table or they were just present in the same room?
Let's not get bogged down in detail.
And no, she wasn't cheating on me and would never do something like that. We hugged for a solid 10 minutes. The next part was really hard for me. I told her I need some space to gather my thoughts and told her that she needs to stay with her parents for the time being. She immediately started having a mental breakdown and asked if I was breaking up with her. I told her I wasn't sure and needed time to see if I still trusted her after all of this, and what she did was beyond disrespectful. How could I trust someone with my life after they pulled something like this? I then told her that we are young and this mess was mostly caused by our immaturity. This entire situation was an important life lesson for the both of us, regardless if we stayed together. After begging a bit more, she then put her head down and started packing a few essentials. Before leaving, she told me she'd be willing to do anything to make up for this and that I could take as much time as I needed. She then gave me a big kiss and left. That was 2 days ago, and this is where we currently stand. I still give her updates on my healing, but besides that, we don't contact each other. I'm really torn right now. I still don't have that trust in her, but her owning up to her mistakes shows that she she knows she f***ed up and is remorseful. I mean, she did eventually own up to it. Eventually. But she was still kind of minimizing your experience. This is definitely something out of the ordinary for her, but there will have to be major boundaries and new rules set. I can think of the following. If she blocks me, for anything again, blocking herself from ever seeing me again. 2, ignoring my messages will not be tolerated anymore. 3, if she goes out alone again, she has to pick up if I call, regardless of the situation. 4, as many of you suggested, having an emergency code like hospital or something would probably have to be implemented. I'm not going to abuse any of these boundaries, but I just want peace of mind knowing my partner has my best interests at heart when she's physically not around me, but I don't know. The fact that you even have to like state these things though, like, I don't know. Those are a lot of rules for something that should be non-negotiable. Time in doesn't mean you need to stay with someone. That just delays the ending of it if you think you can't get past not trusting her. You would not be an if you chose to end it. You would also not be one if you decided to give it a go. You need to go with your gut. I personally would have a hard time getting past someone blocking me. I'm glad that we're all on the same page about the blocking because like, what the like, what the actual that level of petty would be too much for me. To me, that does not imply a partnership, and I need a partnership with my significant other. That's what's up. No lies were told. This October will be my 30th anniversary of getting married, and if he did block me or did not pick up when I had made multiple calls, that would be a trust broken, and I'm not sure I'd be able to get past that. And it's not just about not answering the calls, it's also because you genuinely needed her support in that moment. Like, it's one thing if you're like calling and calling, you know, there's like toxicity there and like you can't answer the calls because you need mental space. It's another thing to not answer calls when your partner needs help. People think that they need to stay with someone or give it another go because they've spent a long time with that person. Yeah, I see that, but also, why was the long time that you spent with that person not taken seriously by her? You guys were about to get engaged and spend the rest of your lives together. Like, I think if the person has shown you who they are, don't waste more of your time on them. A partner shouldn't be blocking a person or not answering calls. If OP's girlfriend has answered even one of his calls, he could have explained. Girlfriend shows she doesn't care about him enough to make sure he's okay. I've been married 15 years and with my partner for 20, it's never ever crossed either of our minds to block each other or ignore each other's calls. And even when we've had the occasional fight, I would not be with someone that could act that childishly or show that they cared that little about me. Well then, it's settled. You are not the a-hole, my dear. It is decided. But obviously I want to know, like, is this something that can be resolved? Can this trust be rebuilt? Let me know in the comments. My husband, Peter, 29 male, and I, 27 female, have been married for about 3 years. We only have one child together and I was pregnant with our second. I'm Western Canadian while he is from Germany. We lived in Canada for a long time, but because of inflation, moving back to Germany seemed like a better option for us. We bought a nice house in Hanover where Peter is from. The day after our flights to Germany, we all visited Peter's family. This was the second time I have seen them. The first was at our wedding. They greeted us and brought us inside of the house, fussing over my son. We had dinner and soon we left the house, wanting to settle into our new home. Oh God, did you catch them talking shit about you? Is that what happened? Oh my God. Oh, I love it. Oh, this is juicy. We visited Peter's family often over the next few months, but I had started to realize that they would speak about me in German. I knew it. I knew it. They would make so rude comments on my hair and makeup. Questioning my fashion choices, and overall they were just very unkind to me. Oh bestie, absolutely not. They also said mean things about my pregnant belly, which I was already insecure about. Man, like, they can be mad about the fact that you knew they could speak German, but also you just caught them being to you, okay? They're mad because you caught them. I said I hated how my every choice was judged. He told me he would talk to his family. The next time we went to his parents' house, there were no more mean comments. For about 3 months, it was like nothing ever happened. I gave birth to a perfect baby girl that we named Lilith. Peter's family was very upset when they heard the name. I was gonna say Lilith is an interesting choice. If you didn't know, Lilith means If you didn't know, Lilith Why do I have a lisp today, guys? If you didn't know, Lilith means ghosts or of the night. We didn't pick this name because of its meaning, but because it's a name every girl in my family has had for many years. My middle name is Lilith, along with my mom's, my grandma's, and even my great-grandma's. For a while, I didn't visit my in-laws. I didn't want to hear them talk about how I shouldn't have named my daughter Lilith. I'm just gonna say it with a lisp now, from now on. I didn't want to hear them talk about how I shouldn't have named my daughter Lilith. And for those of you who are like, you're making fun of people with lisp, Charlotte, I have a lisp, okay? I wear a retainer. I take it out when I'm filming, but I have a lisp. What, do you think I got these pearly whites naturally? No, bestie. Naturally, I look like a vampire. Yesterday, we saw them again. It was our mother-in-law's birthday. As soon as we showed up, things started to go badly. Everyone wanted to hold Lilith, which made my mother-in-law upset because people weren't paying attention to her and made me overwhelmed. I didn't want people to hold her. I was going through a pretty bad postpartum depression, and it was still pretty early to see people. I let people look at her but declined when anyone asked to hold her. During dinner, I heard sister-in-law talking to my mother-in-law in German. I heard her complaining about how she couldn't hold my baby. My sister-in-law even had the audacity to call me, and I quote, a fat, ugly, hokey addict. I turned to my sister-in-law and mother-in-law and told them off in German. Nice. 9! I basically said that I've always known what they have said about me, but calling me names was the last straw. I also mentioned how I have known German for almost my whole life. The table instantly blew up. People were yelling at me because apparently this was all my fault. Ooh, the gaslighting! The gaslighting! You reap what you sow. I mean, listen, it was just your husband's family that didn't know, okay, right? I'm hoping we get a little more context, to be honest. It's one thing if you didn't tell your husband that you could speak German, but it's another thing to not tell his family. I feel like if you're not really close with them, and also you're gonna be living in Germany, you're gonna pick some things up too, right? They're just being stupid. People were yelling at me, so apparently this was all my fault. I left with Peter and we haven't talked to them since. So am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. Are never wrong. I detect some sarcasm. They remain a-holes by refusing to ever take ownership of their words or actions, and so they never have to change. They can be as judgmental and insulting as they want because they're right, and anyone who challenges them must be at fault. So of course it's your fault that they were insulting you. They couldn't possibly have been in the wrong. Sorry you married into a family of no, seriously, like the gaslighting for me. The playing the victim and the pointing the finger instead of just like, I'm really sorry, I shouldn't have said those things. Like that's literally all it takes, my God. Nobody thinks they're the villain, all right? Everybody thinks that they're in the right. But sometimes we f up, and listen, that's what makes us human, all right? Just admit it. You were a and now you're twice the because you won't admit that you were a bitch. That's very good insight though. You can always spot an a-hole by the fact that they never admit when they're wrong. I honestly wish that you hadn't told them. I wish that you just didn't tell them that you could speak German because like, my goodness, the tea you would have heard. You're living in Germany. Do they really think you wouldn't learn the language of the country where you live? Literally, like even if you hadn't told them up until that point that you speak German, you've been there for months. You know, if you're really, really diligent, I feel like it takes like 6 months to learn a language. You know what I mean? Like if you really care about it and you're living there, right? It's one thing to be traveling, but you're living there. So you would learn German. And they were still talking badly about you in front of your face and calling you names? Absolutely not. They have been extremely rude to you and about you. You are definitely not the a-hole. I think your husband needed to show a shiny spine as soon as they started and should have told them off instantly. That's what I really don't like through all of this. I agree. Yes, he talked to them. However, in the moment, hearing them talk badly about you should have been like a trigger for him. Like he should have gotten really upset. You shouldn't have had to tell him to talk to them, okay? I feel like your husband doesn't really have your back in this moment. I know it's hard because it's his family, etc., but still. It is decided. You are not the a-hole, my dear. Subscribe!